ex IDRL Pro League Season 2, Week 4. This is the 2nd of August, and we have a splendid competition ahead of you this afternoon. There are going to be 5 racers today, and there are going to be 6 heats in total. We also welcome our new sponsor, Beta FPV, and thank them for their support, as well as our local sponsors. And joining us on the expert panel, as usual, is Rati FPV. Welcome, Rati.
Hey guys, what's up? Hope you guys are all doing well today. I'm really excited for this race. Actually, I see that the track is quite large and it has quite a lot of new elements that I don't think we have seen locally, and we haven't seen in our SAH series either. So it'll be really exciting to see such new elements coming into play here, and I'm really looking forward to this race because it seems like a super fast race. It's a super fast racing track.
Definitely. It's a long and fast and super risky track as well. It will be interesting to see how the pilots are going to navigate the various elements out here. And it's going to be one of the challenging tracks that we have seen so far. Challenging nonetheless, and we have all the fun lined up for you today. So let's get ahead right now in the pit area straight away and see how the pilots are doing. Let's show you around the track a little bit. We are tuned into the third person view of KXA FPV right now, the pilot from Singapore. And also we are going to see our local pilot Napster fly, and he's the only Indian pilot that is going to fly today. Adiputra, another Singaporean out there, he's going to have a very good competition against Verdna, and let's see how Verdna keeps him in check at those crucial angles that we saw in the previous race. And let's see, is also on the podium. He's not yet flying, but Verdna is, and Verdna is getting as many laps as possible. This is the FPV view of the track as it looks like. We're seeing it through the eyes of KXA, and let's see it one more time through the eyes of Adiputra and look at those fantastic elements. Really grand elements out there, Rati. You know, it's fantastic.
Exactly, Karan.
Okay, so we are all set out there, and pilots, we will give you about 30 seconds before we commence this race. There are going to be 6 heats, and points are going to be scored by our established system of 60, 50, 40, 30, 20, and whatever the scoring is will be updated in real time for you, all the viewers. So welcome viewers once again on the D1X IDRL Pro Championship Season 2 Week 4 on our Facebook and YouTube Live. Let's get going now, pilots. We will be on the podium. On your marks, set to go in less than 5. Catching first, we are going now through the eyes of Verdna in FP view straight away. Verdna seems to be ahead of the pack, but Adiputra has quickly cleared him. But Verdna, interesting competition there. And Verdna this time seems to have no warm-up kind of situations there. Usually we see him that he takes a little while to get warmed up, but here from the very go start, he is looking quite good, and he is continuing to dominate so far in lap number 1.
I think the competition between Adiputra and Verdna is looking so super close. I think Adiputra just having a little bit of an edge. I think Verdna did have a small crash, because of which it has costed him quite a bit of time. But you can see that he is catching up very quickly to Adiputra, and it's super close, the competition, because there may be 1 or 2 gates apart from each other. In the back, we see KXA and his FPV battling it out. I think they are trading places almost constantly. So we have to see at which element KXA is faster than is, and which part is faster than KXA. KXA even overtaking the likes of Verdna FPV. I think Verdna FPV having a few crashes here and there is and is costing him crucial amount of time, because Adiputra has just entered lap number 3, whereas Verdna has now entered lap number 3, which is a huge gap, and it's going to be like a clear difference for Adiputra.
Oh yeah,
But you
and
just saw Adiputra just crash, Verdna just overtaking him,
oh
and
wow.
Verdna as well crashing. This is a super close competition.
Wow, all sorts of things happening over here. Sometimes Adiputra is making those mistakes, and Verdna is making mistakes also. So it's very, very close. Look at that. Those two fierce pilots, they are the arch rivals of each other. And Verdna, in the end, just takes that crucial spot at the number one, and followed by Adiputra with the 3 second lap
Adiputra crashing
difference.
at the end gate, costing him time. But I think you would have seen a photo finish by the two of them because while I was seeing Wagner's FPV feed, I think I just saw Adiputra just overtake him by a bit, and Wagner would come in front. It was a really exciting race between the both of them.
Oh,
Napster
yeah.
and his FPV finishing zero point 0.3 milliseconds off of each other. That's a really good margin.
Fantastic. We had a fantastic opener over here. Just to sum it up in terms of the timings here, Wardna 1 minute 48 seconds finished there in spite of the few mistakes that he committed. Adiputra also committed the same number of mistakes, landing him in position number 2 at 1 minute 51 seconds. KXA following up with 5 seconds, 1 minute 56 seconds, and Is and Napster. Look at that. Very, very close to each other. This is the closest that we have seen so far, probably around 250 milliseconds a difference. That's very close. Now, let's jump straight away. Pilots, get ready on the podium because your heat number 2 is starting right now. Let's see how this rainbow of pilot colors is going. Look at that. Those are really following each other. And that's where it's a splendid sight to see. There are a lot of windmills and different kinds of structures. That tower dive is also a very special element. Overall, a very, very fantastic track designed by the team at D1 Racing. They put out extraordinary tracks, and this is no different.
I think you can see that as I'd mentioned before, I don't think we've seen any of these elements in the stay-at-home series. This is a really spectacular thing to watch because there are so many good elements and like if you're not good at all the elements, you have places where you can make up your time at the other parts of the track. And this looks like mostly a full throttle track wherein like you are pushing your throttle to the absolute limit. Wardner FAV having a few mistakes, Adiputra just hoping that Werner keeps continuing these mistakes. Is FPV making the most of it, coming in second place at the moment? Napster, the local pilot from India, is still lagging behind by quite a bit, but he is very close to catching up to KXA FPV as well.
Right, and I also saw that top dive element at the center is actually pretty risky. When the pilot dives down, he has just a few milliseconds to really escape that down portion. You know, you dive into that, and then you have to control that speed to come out of the top dive, and that's where we are just seeing is commit and actually crash out there. So not a good news for is. So Adiputra may be taking advantage of that situation, but Adiputra is also a little far away. So this time is really getting well behind Verdna, and Verdna has also already completed, and is the second one. A huge time difference between Verdna and is. Verdna is looking really, really good right now, Rathi, over here.
I think you pointed out correctly about the dive gate. I think it's a very difficult element for everybody to pass through because I saw even Werner FPV crashing over there quite a bit, and it really did make a difference for him. Where I think the last turn where we saw Adiputra and Werner just compete seconds of each other, I think Werner kept crashing after the dive gate, and that caused him so many issues.
All right, so fairly spread apart this race was. Verdna finishing right at the top, and Napster about more than a minute away from Verdna at the spot. So Napster will have to re-strategize his play over here, and we will be going ahead with heat number 3 starting right now.
So
Let's
Karan, I think before, I mean, we can just see that Napster does not get a very good start, but he also does mess up at the first turn itself, wherein you see that we are going in between the cargo shells. This time he's managed to stay away from such mistakes, but he is going very wide and he crashes. But This is the exact spot which is causing Napster quite a lot of time, and I think a bit more practice from his side would have really helped him out today. KXA, FPV, and Adiputra are just having a fierce competition in between themselves. They are almost toe to toe with each other. Adiputra just taking the advantage, and he is now well over 2 gates ahead of KXA. Is FPV coming in first at the moment? Wardner, I think, is making a few mistakes, but you can see it's such a close competition between the two of them that they're almost neck and neck to each other. Wardner FPV just getting the advantage over is FPV. Is FPV just a gate behind Wardner, but he will be looking to catch up to Wardner rather quickly.
And I'm really seeing that Iz has really taken form, but he was in a dominating first position. But Verdna has come back once again, and Iz will have to really tighten up his flying out there if he has to really compete well against Verdna, because Verdna is getting away from Iz at the moment. And let's see where some of the other pilots are. Looks like Napster is at a halt, more or less. Adi Putra, if we look at it from the FPV viewpoint, he is still a little about 7 gates away from the second spot is FPV. So there is no chance for us to see is FPV in his front view line. But let's take a look at is here. Is about to finish probably one of the last parts of this track, and there he goes. That's second place for is FPV. Ariputra will also be coming in. There's a good amount of difference between him and KXA. Let's switch to where KXA is with relative to Ariputra, but Ariputra far ahead. I mean, and the only competition right now is probably between KXA and Napster, but again, KXA really doing well. So Napster will have to really look at it post the 3 laps for the next 4, 5, and 6 heats. So
I
he'll
think
take a
Napster is
5 minute.
slightly improving his time at the moment, but will he improve it enough to compete with the likes of Wardner FAV? I mean, it's only his nerves that will tell him. Right now, we see that KXA FPV is in fourth place, Adiputra in third place, is FPV in second place, and Wardner in the first place.
True. So there is going to be, we have reached halftime, and there's going to be a 5 minute breaker out here. So viewers, if you want to get some soda and popcorn for yourself, get going, and we'll be resuming after 5 minutes out here. Meanwhile, the pilots can keep practicing, and we can make a few other adjustments if needed. So overall, there is still not probably a clear champion unless let's see what's the table that's showing right now out there. The score line is FPV and Adiputra are on the second spot right now, tied up, and Verdna is with 180. He has had a clean finish, so he's actually the clean one that he's dominating this race overall. And Napster, you can see, is at the bottom with 60 points. KXA doing well for himself, but would have expected to be a little better with 100 points reached nevertheless.
I think it's a very good competition between Adiputra and his FPV at the moment. Like their scores are pretty close to each other. I mean, they are equaling on the score sheet. Wardner FPV just going well ahead with 180 points, but I think the closer competition would be between Adiputra and his FPV. I think right. I mean, looking at the events, I think is FEV is just getting the better of Adiputra, and Adiputra, if he does not step his game up, it'll be a clear win for his FEV coming in at second place. Uh, then we have, I think, Napster FEV should just pick up his game and use these 5 minutes to do a little bit more on the track. I think his biggest difficulty is going through the cargo barriers, which are just after the first 4 gates.
Yeah, let's take a closer look at Napster. And let's take a look at the dive gate once again. Look at that. That slight adjustment at the very bottom. And for not losing a crucial second or so, you have to be really on the spot out there, especially at that tower gate. The rest of the elements out here seem to be good flowing. This gate flow structure is also not that difficult, but Napster seems to be having some issues out there. He's not quite well grooved into the center point of those gates as I see them.
At the moment, I'm just checking out Verna FEV's feed. I think Verna is competing with Napster from behind. Verna having a slight bit of a crash, but you can just see the sheer speed at which Verna goes. If you can see that his stick movements are pretty like, I mean, it's very different from that of Napster, where Napster does not apply full throttle as much. You can see that Verna is applying full throttle in almost any and every area that he can get a chance in. Then we have is FPV again messing up at the tower at the dive gate. I think the
Yeah.
dive gate is proving to be very difficult for all the pilots out here, including the likes of Verna, who is a pro pilot.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that is actually. Is that a factory element? Is that a chimney sort of a thing? What exactly is that structure? Is that a tower tank or something like that?
It's more or less, I think it's like a empty silo or like a cooling tower, wherein, like usually you see that they have a bit of a pedestal and then they are kept on top of it. And it looks like it is an empty silo. As you can see, there's a barnyard which is right next to it, or it just might be an industrial storage unit. But whatever it is, it's proving to be a very difficult element for the pilots to navigate through because it has a very small opening at the bottom and it is a very high rise chimney. So you're coming in at a very high speed from the top, and by the time you're exiting it, if you miss it by even 1 millisecond, you either the back of your quad touches um, the top of the exit, or the front of your quad will hit the ground. And in any of those cases, you will lose out on a lot of crucial time because I think I have worked out the math, and I think every time you crash, you will almost lose 3 seconds of your time on such a track.
For sure. And we just saw Verdna actually doing that tower gate pretty well. So that's why he's really leading the spot right now. It's funny, just a few elements can really make or break your performance. And if you have not practiced them well, then you're sure to face a lot of difficulty out there.
I think it's the same. I mean, over here as well, what you can see is that it's a lot of breathing space as well for the other pilots. Like after tackling the technical element, that is the dive gate, and preparing for the next technical element, which is the continuous tunnel gates, they have a good amount of space where they can actually go full throttle, and they can actually I would say they can actually complete a lot of. I mean, they can cover up a lot of their time that they lost in the technical elements at those full throttle stretches.
Right. So Napster still trying to get a hold of this element that we were talking about, and let's see, he's trying to get those in a perfect line for himself. Again, those ping gates could prove disastrous if not done properly. But let's see where we are in terms of timing. Can we get a headway into how many minutes are remaining? Uh, All right. Can somebody give us the timing over here? How many minutes are remaining for us to resume? Okay, 2 minutes. All right. Right. We'll set a 2 minute timer out there.
So, Karan, what about you? Would you be taking up the ranks of, I mean, trying to compete for D1 racing maybe the next time they come around with their race?
Well, I don't know. They probably are coming up with another season pretty soon. I might not be ready, and at the pace that I am, I have a lot of other things on my plate as well, so might not be able to give a full hand at practicing on the sim. But I hope to be somewhat ready in probably the next year or two. Well,
Okay,
that's
that's
quite a
actually a
timeline.
good goal. I think I have the kind of same mentality, but I want it to be during the next season where I can actually compete for this exact event, which is the IDRL X D1 racing. I think this is a really fun event, and it really just shows us the scale at which we have to move forward in, because the
Yeah,
competition over here is very tight and it's very healthy. So we are missing quite a lot of pilots today as well,
right.
if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, I mean, most of them were tied up with their individual work and other kinds of things. Some of them exams, also OSS and DevWeb FPV were tied up with exams. So, and Hornet was busy with his work. So that's what made only Napster available to us. But a mix of Indian and Singapore and other kinds of pilots around Asia is always something that viewers also like to watch. So next time, hopefully, all the pilots will be there from the Indian side.
I hope so too. I think we see a lot of Indian pilots participating in a lot of international events at the moment. Like we saw the likes of the pro racers,
Okay.
Vishal, Air Toast FPV, Law, and Devnath compete for DRL and actually winning some cash prize.
Definitely. We'll talk more about that. Right now, in the moment, we are starting with heat number 4 past halftime. And let's go, pilots, at the count of less than 5. Verdna is the man of the moment, 180 points with a clean sweep of 60 points each in each of his heats. The only pilot right now ahead of him is Adiputra, but Verdna is very close competition right away. And Adiputra has probably made a few changes. Adiputra is always looking for that cutout angle where he can overtake Verdna, but this time he's not able to really find that particular angle, and he's himself making a few mistakes. So that is costlying him. And Verdna seems to have covered up all the possible errors that might happen from his side. He looks fantastic. He looks really like a champion of this heat and the race right now.
Napster FPV, you can see, is actually competing quite well ahead of his FPV. I don't exactly know what went wrong with his FPV, but Napster is not very far away um, from KXT FPV. I think they are having a real good battle out there, where we can see that sadly enough, Napster just has a little bit of a problem with the dive gate. Is FPV getting some prop damage at the moment? Looks like is FPV is going to be behind Napster because of this prop damage until and unless Napster also suffers from the same amount of prop damage.
Right.
We can see that Adiputra is getting the edge over is FPV. I think is FPV, if he comes fifth in this round, it'll become a real problem for him because is FEV will lose out on quite the amount of crucial points that is needed for him to be in competition with Adiputra. Is FEV just about overtaking Napster? Napster almost had a glimpse of third place in this race, and sadly enough, he did a lot of mistakes and he could not keep his pace up, because of which he has dropped down on the order.
Right, and Verdna again keeps getting better with his timing. 1 minute 28 seconds at the top, and we are still waiting for Napster and Is to catch up on the finish line with Is FPV really coming in fourth. Napster was looking good, but Is FPV taking the spot at the fourth place, and unfortunately, Napster has to settle again for the fifth spot. And let's review the scorecard once again out here. And it looks like uh, we have Vodna again taking the win as usual, 240 points. What a wonderful performance so far. Very consistent. Adi Putra actually getting a slight lead ahead of Iz right now with his second place. So that takes him to 180 points, I believe, and then Iz at 160 points, KXA at 140, and Napster at 80 points. That is the story so far. And as we head into the next heat, without any further delay, let's get going at the count of less than 5. Watching through the eyes of Is FPV taking off with a brilliant color line out there. It's wonderful to watch these pilots in the very first lap when they're so close to each other, and then they eventually separate out. But let's see where Vodna and Napster is doing pretty well right now. Look at that. He is looking like he is going to take the storm out here, and he's not that behind as well from Vodna.
Adiputra having quite a few mistakes as I was seeing Adiputra's FPV feed. I don't exactly know what happened to his FPV and KXA since they didn't come up on Adiputra's screen. But we see that Napster is just about leading, and if he does not make any more mistakes, I think we will see that he'll get a second place finish for the first time here, and I think he'll be very happy with the amount of points he gets, because then he can actually not be at the bottom of this entire racing series, and he can come somewhere where I think he'd be happy to get some extra points. We
Yeah,
see that the bottom three are crashing in quite a lot of places, and Napster keeping his nerve, and he is just about like setting his lead up even more than the other pilots here, and not making any mistakes as such.
yeah, and I just saw Napster doing that tower dive very cleanly actually at the last lap, and that's very encouraging out here. So let's see if he does this tower dive once again very properly. Yeah, he's almost getting it, and he sort of kind of made up for that practice in the 5 minute break time. So it's just about those little kind of practice errors that he just needs to recover and keep his focus and attention going. And Adiputra coming back from behind out there. What an overtake at that gate, finishing with at the very last end. Wow, that was disappointing. Adiputra, Napster was so very close. Something happened to Napster out there. Not
Napster coming in just about in fourth place. You can see that there are only milliseconds off of is FAV and Napster. Napster crashing at the last gate quite a few times. I think he got a little nervous, and he crashed into one of the gates, and he missed one of the gates as well, which costed him quite a bit of time. Adipura just overtaking Napster, and that was a very close finish. I think this is Napster's best race performance yet, but I think it could have been better if he hadn't crashed. I think he would have seen a podium place finish at least.
right. Definitely, Napster committing a mistakes over there with the tower dive, past the tower dive. He was looking a little bit hurried, I think so. And then Adiputra, at that rush of gates, the green gates, he just came in from the right and overtook Napster. That gave him Adiputra the second position right now. So that's right now. And let's look at heat number 6 coming forward. The last heat for this race. Let's get going, boys, at the count of less than 5. And again, the man to spot is Verdna. A very clean win out here. And if he does it very cleanly with this second heat, with this last heat, it'll be first time I think we'll be seeing Verdna doing a clean sweep at the D1X Pro season. So far,
Adiputra
yeah.
finding it a little bit of an issue entering and approaching the dive gate, but I don't exactly know what he did, but he is having a late start in comparison to pretty much everybody here. I think he took off last, but he's made up quite a few places, and now he was second, and now he's been overtaken by his FPV. I think Adiputra has extended his lead over his FPV since his FPV did not score quite the amount of points that was needed. Is FPV and KXA FPV both are in a tie with each other, I think. And this is proving costly for is FPV, who will lose out on so many positions if he does not complete in front of KXA FPV.
Look at that, and very close competition right now between Is FPV and KXA. They are bouncing off each other. KXA left in the mud out there, giving Is FPV a chance to take that position in the end. And Is FPV is going to get into the lap number 3 with a lead over
KXA
KXA.
FPV has been overtaken by Napster as well. KXA FPV finding that one last bit of a this thing as a struggle. I think Aliputra is also having quite the amount of struggle here. So I exactly don't know what is going wrong, but if his FPV does come in second, I think he will not be touching Adiputra as much. But if Adiputra does not make up positions to KXA, I think KXA will have a little bit of an advantage, and I mean maybe that Adiputra and his FPV may even end up tying.
Look at that. And Napster and KXA right now, very close competition. Napster is actually in a very good spot right now. He just has to hang on for the third spot, and he will be getting his third spot for the very first time out here. Well done, Napster. KXA just a few milliseconds away. That was about 500 milliseconds away from Napster. And Adiputra was, he had a disappointing race heat
I
on
don't
this one.
exactly know what went wrong with Adiputra, but I think in this heat entirely he was messing up. Like you can see that he is having a few crashes here and there.
Yeah.
There are maybe some issues. We don't exactly know what is going on with him, but hopefully in the next series or in the next race he can come back and he can come out even stronger than before.
Yeah.
But at the moment, um, we see that Adiputra is at 250 points. So I think he was slacking off in the last race where like he was just really just flying for the like just for finishing the race so he gets the points and not really flying because he wanted to score quite high points.
Yeah, and I saw actually Adiputra crash into that tunnel sequence, the green gates out there, and he crashed not only on his second lap but also on his third lap and then recovered. Second lap was a slight more disastrous kind of a crash, but so Adiputra did crash twice out there, and that's why he eventually fell into that fifth position. And so let's look at the final table out here, and it's going to be a clean sweep for Verdna FPV. What a performance! It deserves a very good round of applause out here. Verdna FPV, congratulations, the pilot from Singapore. They will be, as usual, parting today in Singapore. And is FPV, let's see, he is at probably position number 3. But Adiputra, again, living up to his name and expectations of his fans and viewers with 250 points gathered in his bag, and is at 230, and then KXA at 210, and finally Napster. Again, his last fifth and sixth heats were pretty good, so that gave him a bump to a total of 150 points. So that was a fantastic, fantastic race. We saw some good close competition and good close rivalry. So overall, Rati, to sum up, how was the race that happened today?
It was actually very, very exciting seeing that maybe Verdna FEV did climb up in front, but for a second, I was not at all bored seeing seeing the battle between the second and the fifth position. Napster making it count where it really needed to in the last few laps, but I think it came in a little too late. Napster, I don't understand why just did not have the form in the start of this race, but seeing some of the laps that he did in the last heat, which is the fifth heat, I think he was going super well and he would have excelled wherever he had. I think he would have had better off with more practice. Adiputra just getting second place here. Very well done from him. He was very consistent when it came to most of the elements. And the last race, I exactly don't know what happened to him, but he was taking a little bit of a relaxing tour around the entire map. I feel like he was just seeing where he was just exploring the map that he came second in. But that was a very good performance from Verna, Aliputra is Napster, and KXA. I think KXA FPV just making it count at the initial. I mean, in the final, in the fourth and the fifth round, where he did score quite the higher points in comparison to the other teammates, especially beating his FPV here, which almost made him equalize to his FPV. If his FPV would have been fourth place in this round and KXA up to second, I think we would have seen a tie, and that would have also been super exciting, seeing that they go with such a tie into the next race.
Superb, and that was our review for the race by our expert panelist. And this is the final situation that we have. Verdna has won it with 360 points, and finally we have again the race today is very, very exciting. And so we are going to wrap up for the afternoon today. Again, a big thanks to our latest sponsor, Beta FPV, and also to our local sponsors and D1 Racing, of course, for putting up such a wonderful track. We will see you guys next week of Season 2 D1 Racing X IDRL Pro. Meanwhile, to our viewers and fans and supporters of the pilots and their friends and family, it's a good day and goodbye. See you all next week, and we are tuning out. Thanks so much.